Look, I get it. You want to do the least amount of work possible and make the most amount of money. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the laziest ways to sign high-ticket clients going into 2026 that actually works and gets results so that you can just focus on growing your business without spending 6 hours a day finding clients, DMing hundreds of people every day, burning thousands of dollars on ads, or filming hours and hours of content every single week, right? So there are multiple ways that you can do this. And this is the 4 most common ways that people have signed clients in 2025. And you can go ads, but they work once you're dialed in. And yes, they are scalable. But to get started with, it's a terrible idea because you will just light thousands of dollars on fire. It requires constant testing. And also Meta is a beast that if you don't understand what you're doing, you can just lose thousands and thousands of dollars and not get a single lead. So content is another powerful way to get clients. It compounds over time, and it's like little pieces of real estate, and I'd highly recommend that at some stage you post content because it's changed my life. However, it only works in the long run. So I posted one piece of content every single day for 100 days, and it was only after day 50 did I make a single dollar from that content. Now, some of the other things that I'll show you, you can close a deal within a couple of days, right? Content is not that fast vehicle that you're looking for. And also, you have to record, edit, and post consistently, and then you have to wait months for it to pay off. And so I already had 1,000, 2,000 subscribers, and I already had a couple hundred views here and there, so I didn't start from absolute zero. If you're starting from absolute zero, you kind of almost need to put out 200 pieces of content before you expect a single dollar coming in, and Mr. Beast will tell you something similar. You can do outbound DMs, and this is something that works, right? They feel personal. It allows direct conversations, but it's not scalable. And so if you're just getting started, yes, you can, and you don't have a single dollar to your name, you can open up your Instagram, open up your LinkedIn, and you can just start DMing people, and you can just be relentless with it. But what I found is that it's difficult to stay on track. And often you have spurts of because it's not automated, right? And so unless you plan it into your day and you are meticulous about doing this every single day, it's difficult to do. Also, a lot of these platforms know that you're spamming. And so they cap you at, let's say, 30 messages outbound a day. And so you can't even reach Hormozi's rule of 100 over 100 days, which is 100 outreaches over 100 days. You need to spread that across Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, emails. So it becomes more difficult. So what that leaves us with is cold email. In my opinion, it's the laziest and the most effective way to sign clients in 2026. I'm going to explain exactly how to set all of that up and how I do it in the simplest step-by-step way possible. The reason that it's so powerful is that it's measurable, controllable, and it's infinitely scalable. It doesn't require a huge amount of capital up front, and it only really requires minimal effort. And if you know what you are doing, you can set it up pretty fast and effectively, right? I know it sounds super scary, and if I was setting up my first inboxes, I'd be like, DMARC, DKIM, SPF, records, what is all of that? I'm going to explain all of that in just a second. The issue, however, is that everybody is spamming cold email, and prospects tend to just ignore like generic emails. So I have a way around that has crushed it for me. And you need to really nail deliverability and messaging. You can't just set up the infrastructure and then just spam thousands of people and expect it to work. Deliverability and messaging is really key, and I'm going to talk about that in a sec. Yes, all of these methods can work. The difference is speed, effort, and predictability. In my opinion, if you are just getting started, you have more than $1,000 to your name, cold email is the best way to start. If you have a total addressable market of more than 1,000 people, cold email is the best way to start, especially if you've got some kind of case studies. So this is the cold email system at a high level. There's only 6 steps. First is the email infrastructure. that's setting up the inboxes, and I'll break down what that looks like and how I set that up for clients in just a sec. But after that, you find the right leads, right? So half the battle is finding the right leads. It's not actually in the emails themselves. It's the right people to speak to. So Hormozi talked about this in his $100 million offers book. If you've got a perfect ICP, a starving crowd, as he calls it, it almost doesn't matter what your offer is and what your method of marketing is. If they have a bleeding neck problem, if they are absolutely starving and you're standing outside with like sloppy hot dogs and you're selling them for $20 each outside of a bar at 3 a.m., people are going to buy them because the crowd is starving. Next is enriching those leads with data, and then personalizing the copy, and then following up and having some kind of method for reply handling and booking. Because if you're doing it right, you should have an overwhelming amount of replies come in. All right, so this is the email infrastructure at a high level, because a strong infrastructure, email infrastructure, equals high deliverability and more replies. And a big mistake that most people make, right, is email is an interesting one, because it's first you have to get the email delivered. Then you need to get the email opened, and then you need to get the email read, and then you need to get the click. So it's very different than, let's say, an ad, right? Where the main thing is that you need to grab attention and stop the scroll and create curiosity and then get them to click. With email, you can write the best email in the world with the most fantastic infrastructure, with the best offer. But when you send the email, does it land in their inbox? Like, this is something that, if we don't talk about anything else, if you just get the email delivered, you have a fighting chance. If you don't get the email delivered, everything else is a moot point, right? So you need to set up the infrastructure correctly. It's just going to give you more replies, obviously, because it's going to be seen by more eyeballs. So this is how I set it up for my clients, and I charge them thousands of dollars to do this, and you can do this yourself. And in fact, actually, inside of my private school group here, one of the posts that I created, let me find it, like how to actually set up cold email inboxes from scratch. Here is a 30-minute over-the-shoulder walkthrough of me actually purchasing the domains and doing all this technical setup. And so, like, inside of this group, as well in the classroom, there's a whole bunch of content around all the processes and the SOPs that I run through in my agency to help coaches, consultants, and service-based businesses make more money. And email is a massive part of that. Like, just to show you my instantly inbox here, I have 41 people that I need to reply to. I'm getting 17% replies on a personalized campaign. I was getting up to 25.7% replies. Like, imagine opening up your inbox and having 161 opportunities to work with you if you are a business owner. It's an absolute game changer. And so I talk about how to do all of that inside my private paid school group here, the Ship It Society, where every day we ship something, right? So, look, anyway, at a high level, this is what it looks like. So, number one, you have to purchase the domains. Now, I take this for granted, but I spoke to a client the other day, and they just couldn't wrap their mind around this. So, let me try and explain this really, really simply. What we do is that we purchase 6 domains, similar to your main brand. So, for example, you can see here that I have purchased Jordan Rafaelov at choosedopamine.digital.com. Jordan Rafaelov at Dopamine Digital Consulting. So my main domain is Dopamine Digital. But I don't want to add that into Instantly. I want to spread the risk across multiple different sending accounts. And the way that I do that is by purchasing new domains. And so it sounds complicated and expensive, but it's really not. This whole thing here, this step 1 will cost you $50. So if you are Dopamine Digital, for example, then you call yourself Dopamine Digital Consulting and you purchase .com. And try not to purchase .org or anything like that. Just try to purchase the .coms. They have higher deliverability. you can pick them up from GoDaddy, Namecheap, right? So we need to buy 6. Now, with those 6 domains, we're going to set up 3 inboxes each. So for domain number1.com, we're going to set up 3 inboxes inside of Google Workspace. For domain2.com, we're going to set up 3 Google Workspaces. And so at the end of this, we're going to have 18 sending accounts. So I use Google Workspace. There's a whole bunch of people that use Outlook. From my experience, the deliverability of the inboxes set up through Google Workspace are significantly higher. That's been my experience. Yours might be different, but I have had people reach out to me in school and say, hey, it's not working. What's going on? I set up a bunch of inboxes and I'm using Outlook. Like, can you help me? And then when I've had a look at it, they've tried to like piece together a whole bunch of YouTube videos and stuff. And like, look, everything is here. And so, don't make the same mistake that they have made and try to go to YouTube and follow 5 different tutorials. Just follow exactly everything that I say inside the Ship It Society. Just keep things simple. Like the cost to join here, it would, like, the amount of time you save by just following a simple SOP covers the cost of joining, for goodness sake. So now you have 18 sending accounts. You need to warm them up for at least 14 to 21 days using Instantly AI. Instantly make it really easy. You go add new, you add the email in, and then you click on this little fire emoji, and it warms up the email. It starts sending them out to different pools of people. So they have multiple pools of accounts, and they send to each other so that your ESP sees that you are doing regular sending and you didn't just spam out 100 emails on your very first day. And it gradually ramps up the email sends. And then what you have is one email sending account that's able to send 30 emails per day, which equals 540 emails per day that you can potentially send out inside of your Instantly account. And if you land in promotions or spam, your offer can be perfect, but you will still fail. And so like, the infrastructure is really important, and it's really important to follow all these steps. Don't be all gung-ho about it and just dive straight in. Now, I mentioned that finding the right leads is 50% of the battle, and it's usually cold email doesn't work, quote, because deliverability is set up incorrectly. You spammed out a sales message, and you got blended in with all the other generic garbage that's in people's inboxes. But mostly what I find is that the leads are weak. Cheeky little Glenn Ross reference there, if you get that. So the correct way of finding the right leads, you can use Apollo. Super easy to use. The thing that I have the most success with, though, is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So if you don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I believe I can send a bunch of referrals. I can send 5 referrals beyond the initial 10 that I was giving. Okay, so I've already given out 10 to the people in the Ship It Society for free. You can get 2 months of Sales Navigator. I think it's $70 a month, maybe. So it's like $150. So I'm going to pick, if you want free access to Sales Navigator, leave me a comment below that says Sales Nav, and I'll reach out to you and we'll figure out how to do this. Probably I'll ask you to join the free school group, and then you can DM me your LinkedIn address. Or actually, we could just do it in the YouTube comments. So just comment Sales Nav with your LinkedIn profile link. I'll copy that, paste it in here, and if you're able for me to send you 2 months for free, I'll do that. I don't get anything in return. I just want to give back to you guys. So I use LinkedIn Sales Nav. It works way better, in my opinion, for finding decision makers and standing out. The lead quality is significantly higher because most people spam the living heck out of Apollo leads, and so unless your messaging is God tier, it's quite difficult to stand out and break through. But LinkedIn have a lot of email addresses that Apollo doesn't, even though people say that it's the same. My experience is that I get 5 times the replies when I use LinkedIn Sales Nav leads. And you can see here is a rough idea of how I would structure a search. So like, I'm keeping this pretty broad. You're trying to keep this to 2,500 results, and then you create multiple lists, put them together, put them into something like Expandy, and scrape those leads. But because there are multiple steps and it's a little complicated and you need multiple pieces of software, you'll find that people won't do it. And so this is your superpower as far as getting good leads. So you can get much higher leads. Just a quick pro tip. This option here will give you the most engaged people on LinkedIn, and usually when you do outreach to those people, they're the most receptive. And so I'm creating the list inside of LinkedIn Sales Nav. I'm now putting it into another software like a Clay or an Expandy, and I'm enriching those leads and I'm finding their email addresses, because LinkedIn won't let me email this person. Like, I can't get their email from here. I just get them on LinkedIn. So that's just an aside. You can use, like I say, LinkedIn Sales Nav, Expandy, etc., etc. But the workflow that I use that has worked the best for me is LinkedIn Sales Nav into Expandy, which is this weird with an i.io, and you're able to put the search into Expandy, scrape all of those leads. It finds a lot of the email addresses, but not all of them. So that's the thing that you need to deal with. And usually I would create 2 or 3 searches, put them into Expandy, and then combine those lists so that I have a decent list to start with. So, like, this is some of the secret sauce that I'm giving you. So, if you appreciate that, make sure you like and subscribe, because I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. I'm not trying to gatekeep anything here. This is literally what I do, and clients pay me thousands of dollars for it. So, the next step is to verify the emails. A lot of people forget this, but I use Million Verifier. You can use Reun or you can use something else. I find that Million Verifier, the UI is much better. The prices are reasonable. And so I don't skip this step, all right? Because if you send out an email and 10% of them bounce, your ESP is going to say that this person is a spammer. And again, if we come back to the deliverability, you got to get the thing delivered first before it gets opened or replied. Okay, so make sure that you verify the emails. Next is to enrich and segment the data. So you can use something like Clay to do that. You can also get fancy with Google Sheets, but Clay is just going to be easier. So so Clay is a very expensive tool, and if you're absolutely just getting started, you definitely don't need this. So I'm just trying to be like, this is my process, this is what I do. And if I come into, just to give you an example of what Clay can do, let's say I come to this personalized campaign and I look at one of the emails that I'm sending out. And so you can see that this variable here that says personalization is loaded in as part of the lead list, where I can see there is a personalization column, and each one of these is completely unique. And so I have created those within Clay. So when it sends out to John, Jacob, or whoever, so if I say Ian, so it's like, hi Ian, I liked your LinkedIn post about the collaboration with your colleague from City Lifestyle Temecula. It sounds like a productive team effort, and thought you might be a good fit for a podcast we're producing. So I'll explain this podcast angle in a second, but what this does is that it opens with hyper-personalization. And so what I have done is I've loaded the list after it's scraped and cleaned and enriched into Clay to enrich it further, where I have a whole bunch of AI agents that go to these people's LinkedIn profiles, look at their most recent posts, understand if they are a post that it can create some kind of insightful message around, and if it is, then it creates that message in as short a way as possible, and then loads it into that new column. And then I scrape that column, and then I load it into instantly per lead. So what that allows me to do is, at scale, I can email thousands of people, which looks hyper-personalized. So This is becoming less and less special because AI tools are automating more and more of it, but it certainly helps get better replies. Like if I look historically, it doesn't help every single time, but let's say I have a whole bunch of leads that are unpersonalized here, and it's getting a 10% reply rate, but I have a whole bunch of leads that are personalized here, and they are getting a 17.5% reply rate. And you can see that that's mostly happening personalized here. This is an anomaly. Unpersonalized gets slightly less responses. Personalized, another. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but even sometimes non-personalized gets crazy replies if the outreach is done correctly. So that's something that you can add as an optional, but it doesn't take you from a 5% reply rate to a 25%. It's usually just a couple percent bump, but it's almost always a bump. So that's how you use Clay. And that's the high-level process of finding the right leads, enriching them, and how it works inside of something like Instantly. Look, I'll try and leave all my affiliate links and stuff down below, so that if you want to set up any of this stuff yourself, you definitely can do that. And then I get some sort of kickback from whoever, I'm not exactly sure, but these are the things that I use. So now with the copy itself, like the actual words that you're putting in the email and reaching out to people with, it's once you have an offer, the deliverability, and the right leads, the words in the email become significantly less important. So if I look at some of the best performing stuff that I've sent out, it's usually like, hi, personalized message, thought you might be a fit for a podcast, can I send you more details? And if you want to be like even shorter with it, without any personalization at all, this crushes. Hi Karen, thought you might be a good fit for a podcast I'm producing with leaders in the consultancy space. Can I send you more details? Because what I tell you, what people won't do, and let me actually go to my email inbox to show you the type of garbage that I get. All right, so I don't mean to pick on this person, but just like, I'm not reading all of this. I look through this and I'm not reading it. I'm sorry. It is just too many words here. They've added a link here, so they've tried to personalize things. But because the copy is so long, I'm just not reading it. You don't have I owe you nothing. I'm doing you a favor by reading this, and if it's more like, respect the person that you're emailing more than sending them this gigantic block of text. The email should be that long. I should be able to skim through it and make a decision whether this is worthwhile pursuing or not. And stuff like this just doesn't land. And look at this. It's just all about them. It doesn't... Even there's a personalized loom, which I haven't watched because it's just so much text. And whoever is sending this much text to me does not have... They don't understand that my time is limited and I don't want to spend all of it reading a potentially spammy message from somebody that is just going to waste my time. So even though it looks to be a personalized Loom video in my inbox, because the text is so long, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, I'm not reading all of that. Okay? And the goal is not to sell in the email. The goal is just to get a reply and just start a conversation. And so, I don't mean to dox all of these people and say that they're terrible. I'm just saying that there is a wrong way and a right way to do it. It must work for them, but on a scale of 1%. I'm talking about, I want 27.5%, right? So somebody just talking about themselves. This person is they start with, my name is, and I run a company where I teach people, blah, blah, blah. You may have never heard of me, I, but I found you on LinkedIn. everything is just generic. There's too many details. There's all these salesy buzzwords. I offer all these services. Like, please just reply to me so that I can sell you something. Oh. And now I'm looking for 1 to 2 dream clients to take on this massive kind of growth. Guys, this stuff doesn't work anymore. All right? It maybe worked back in the day when nobody had access to Instantly. The correct way, I just kind of showed you. Look, high first name, hyper-personalization. Thought you might be a good fit for a podcast. On the show, we dive into your experiences growing and scaling this company. Next to being an interesting chat, it's a great way for some publicity. Can I send you more details? There's nothing in here that triggers spam filters. It's easy to read. It's like under 100 words. I would even go as far as to say you could shorten this to just 2 lines like I showed you. So you can also drag all of your text into something called Hemingway Editor, where it will use AI to understand if it's a 5th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, whatever reading level, and you should aim for about 5th or 6th grade, where it's like super simple, that an idiot who's just woken up, who hasn't had their coffee yet, who's got one eye closed, can skim through it and understand it. That's what you're looking for. Next step is to follow up. Like, all the money is in the follow-up. If you don't get replies, it's not that the prospects are not interested. It's usually the first email got buried. And a lot of the time, this second email in the sequence, which is super basic, gets the most replies because the first one didn't get looked at, or this one, it just gets more replies. So don't leave that out. You're leaving so much money on the table if you're not following up. Ideally, you should follow up 10 times until they say no, respectfully. And each follow-up should restate some kind of value, create urgency, or open a loop, or sound like a real human being sent it. It should be short, helpful, respectful, and easy to answer. Give people exactly what you want them to say and reply to, and make it simple for them. So, we'd love to have you in the podcast. Can I send you more details? Hey, as you haven't replied, could you please let me know? And so all of this is obviously automated. You can use Smart Lead. I use Instantly AI because it's, in my opinion, the best. And then make sure that you're always A/B testing. So I have found that this subject line crushes for me, but sometimes I will try this subject line. And like oftentimes just adding that little bit of texture to the subject gets a higher open and reply rate, right? So you want to get it delivered, opened, and then replied to. Read and then replied to. And so don't keep sending the same email for months. Things get stale. Things change. So I'm a part of a mastermind where we share all this IP. And so I say to my clients, like, I have access to thousands of agencies that are all constantly testing different types of copy and offers across multiple different niches. And so I know what's working as of yesterday, right? I'm not using some old stale script from 2 years ago, which has been tried and now no longer works. So always be testing. Small tests, but don't change everything at once. Change one thing at a time. You can change subject lines. Changing your offer or your lead magnet can 2x your responses, or having a lead magnet in the first place can 10x your responses. Angles and positioning, so pain points, results focus, problem first, solution first if you're going straight for the throat. Short versus medium length emails, CTAs you can test as well. And so you will be getting these 3 types of replies. And I would suggest to track this in some kind of at least a Google Sheet. If not, like I use ClickUp because it's really easy to drag stuff around. Or if you want to be fancy with it, you can go high level, or some version of Salesforce or whatever you guys are using. But just something to track it. So you'll get 3 types of replies. Either they'll be interested, in which they reply right away, and the value is easily clarified, and then you book a call. Or it's a not now, in which case you acknowledge that, you set a reminder, and you follow up later. Or it's not a fit, and you respectfully close the pursuing of them. You don't push, and you update the CRM like do not contact. What I also like to do is that I'm reaching out to a lot of these people every day, and even the ones that are interested, sometimes they're not a fit for me, and I'll add them to my list. I'll ask them, hey, no worries, John, I have a weekly newsletter where I send updates on how business owners just like you are, blah, blah, blah. Can I add you to that list? Or I can say something like, I have this white paper study that I'd love to send to you. Where do you mind if I send that over to you and add you to the list? And if they say yes, they get added to the list. And so that compounds and the list slowly grows. And then I have an asset now of people who maybe weren't interested or a fit right now, but they will be in the future. And AI can handle sorting replies, drafting responses, and auto booking calls. Yes, my team takes care of that and uses AI. There are systems that you can implement, but I always find it's good to have a human in the loop, as they say. And so, look, finally, guys, if all of this sounds like overwhelming to you and you don't know where to start, this is exactly what I do every single day for clients. And so I would suggest that you go to dopaminedigital.io, and if you want to work with me and my team, click this button here, fill out the form, tell me about your business. I will put together a free comprehensive growth plan on exactly what it would look like if I was to teleport into your business tomorrow and implement these systems and get you from where you are now to where you want to go. And I will deliver it within 72 hours without getting on a sales call. So that's my lead magnet. Go and engage with that. Check out some of the case studies.
If you're a B2B technology business, but you're stuck relying on referrals, events, and the...
Check out some of the case studies on the page. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy the next one on the screen. So check that one out. Peace, guys.